I'm not even sure if I'm on frame, but let's just go. I debated whether or not I would record this with my face, as it's quite hard for me to talk about this, but who knows, it might relate to more people, you know? I think by showing more vulnerability in our public society nowadays is something that a lot of people, it's harder for people to do because it's just so much more social fear. So hopefully this can at least hear one person out. So I'm talking about this why is because the title suggests I have just a lot of regrets, at least with myself in the past, and how I'm just doing nowadays as a person. Um, by the tone of my voice, I'm pretty depressed, and this is something that's been ongoing passively, I would say, since university. I feel like ever since I've entered university, my a lot of shortcomings of myself, like flaws and also just underdevelopment of myself as a person, have really shown during my time here. And it's just made me regret so much I've done back in high school because those were really the years that could have really transitioned myself to become a better person. But instead, I was sheltered, I was addicted, I was escaping from the norms and things that would have helped me improve my life. And I feel like it's made me struggle so much more as of now. I think it's very important to enjoy our youth. It's important to have those happy memories, and I would say, yeah, I have some I can look back on, both online and in person with friends. But the importance of balancing your time is something that I always struggled with. And it was something that my parents had repeatedly told me as I was growing up. Now, had I known how my ADHD wasn't ever handled, I feel like things could have possibly went different. I hadn't taken anything for it, and the psychiatrist I have doesn't know how to treat patients, and it's a whole can of worms. But then if I want to get medication from different states, sometimes basically if you have ADHD, there's different types of medicines you can take. This non-stimulus and stimulative medicines. Stimulative medicines were stronger at the time than what I was taking, and those were state regulated between different areas. So then it's like, oh, if I want medication from Maryland to New Jersey, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. This is the only person that I'm currently taking right now, psychiatrist wise. I don't know if he just loopholes it or something. I don't know if it's legal or not or whatever, but that's just how it is, or that's kind of what I looked into. I think a lot of like myself and like how like I've kind of treated myself and overall like the things I've always wanted to do. I feel like I was always a very overambitious person. There's a lot of things I have curiosity in life, and I would say if I ever somehow become like rich or successful, I still I hope I would continue to innovate. I don't want to give up on that. And when it comes to like innovating for myself as a person, I want to continue to challenge myself and grow as a person, whether that be in interests, hobbies, or whatever. But ever since high school until now, I feel like I have practically remained the same person. All I really did in high school was I stuck around with a friend group, of which at the time there was so much uncertainty in my head whether or not these were true friends, because I'm not sure if you guys know about philosophy, but there are ideas. I forgot which philosopher talked about this, but there are different types of like friend. What does exactly a friendship mean? Friendships can be mutual. They can just be like simple classmates. They can be for like a simple like interests you have in mind together, or they can be genuine like long term like relationships that you build up, right? And at the time, the friends I developed, I would spend. These were the only people I had essentially, and I felt like a lot of them were. I just felt like I was being taken advantage of. Now, of course, this was stuff that was internalized in my head without like really figuring out other stuff as well. But or maybe the people that were like the people that I wanted to become closer with, I felt like they're always distant in a way because they did things together, and I never was like, I guess, particularly like invited for it because of like who I was. And it's not the fault of them. It's just it makes me think like Had I, again, spent my time more reasonably in high school, just wasn't just particularly all about games, like, could that have been different? And that's where I'm kind of going at this for my university life. I have never been so emotionally lonely in my life, I think. Connecting all the pieces together, I truly feel isolated for like the entire world, basically. And sometimes I wonder the other timeline, if I had spent my time elsewhere, balancing and doing other things, that maybe things wouldn't have been this way. I mean, some things were out of my control, but definitely a lot of things were in my control, and it was my fault. It was my accountability, and I don't know, man. I don't know what I was thinking back then. I felt like now I'm looking back, and I was just living in autopilot. And honestly, nowadays sometimes I feel like I'm living a spectator in my own life too. So I guess nothing has changed in that regard. This all comes to the idea of, I think growing up, I was always scared of, I guess, like growing up, or like what society had to hold. This is why everyone had that sort of YouTube dream. If you like maybe grew up as like Gen Z during like the like 2005s, like like the Let's Plays and stuff like that. I remember seeing stuff like Stampy Longnose, or like very successful like YouTubers growing up, right? And I was like, I was just so blindsided by the idea was uploading consistently was the only thing that mattered. And if I did this long enough, I wouldn't have to worry about growing up per se. And I remember it was basically as soon as I like actually entered university where it clicked. Like, oh shit, this is where I had to finally grow up and kind of come to the realization that it was far fucking too late. There are things to dream about, but there are also things that we need to be reasonable about. And there are also precautions or ways I could have probably done YouTube as a whole a lot more successfully. You don't know me for just what I make. I'm just someone who just talks. But in the past, I've ran different YouTube channels, and I spent so much time in them. And it was good that I had that passion for say, but then eventually just every channel I made just became for increasingly more pressurizing because of mixture of validation and me wanting to always provide the best, and then stressing myself out, and then leaving myself where it just no longer felt fun. But that's not what YouTube is nowadays. It's not about people that are successful on this platform, that are really big, that really just do what they have to do without having to compromise their own ideals for the sake of being big, is very, very small. Is very, very small. I'm kind of jumping back and forth. Sometimes it just feels like, and I'm reading this off like notes to just make it easier for myself. Just my social abilities. Sometimes I'm perfectly fine. Sometimes I'm really anxious. And I just wonder if that makes me like an insufferable person to be around. Sometimes I just enjoy doing things by myself. And then sometimes it's just my forgetfulness to just connect back with others. And I'm just paranoid or just self-conscious, and just, I already said it a lot. I mean, this could be textbook ADHD 101, but I never realized just how difficult it is to live with mental illness. There's parts of it that could be talked about as, I almost feel like now it could be seen as an excuse. Like, I don't want you to like pity me because I have these things, but holy fuck, like I feel like when most people hear ADHD, it's just like, oh, you can like, you struggle to focus. But I mean, I could have more than just ADHD, but there's a lot of byproducts of ADHD that aren't explained. And because of that, I guess I just choose to just, again, just assume, or just, I'm not even sure anymore. I've gotten to the point where it's my junior year of university. Nothing is going to change. And I know by me being stubborn about it isn't going to help that either. But a lot of these issues are just internalized within myself that became more and more enforced because of negative groups where I spent my time. I never spent the time back in high school looking for counseling or mental health, because fun fact, mental health is fucking awful when you're in high school because you're a minor, and the way they have to treat you is really fucking. I hate it. I hate it. The times that I would say that I was potentially suicidal, or the times where I was just having a mental breakdown or I was nervous, would lead you to be in scenarios where you would be take to like a health clinic or like a hospitalization and things like that. I was never close to that per se, but it just comes to show you that honesty needs to be appreciated. I know it's liability, but I feel like there has to be a better way around it. Maybe the typical parent might react to this differently. I have Asian parents. Who knows? That may make a difference. I don't think it would in this case, but I remember just feeling like the end of the world because I felt like I'm in so much trouble rather than like, I don't know, like myself. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. Anyways, getting back to points, I would then escape all these like I was so scared of like a lot of things. Some of which I don't really know on top of my head right now because I'm just trying to recite what's going on in my head internally, right? But I was scared of a lot of things, and I can't really just give you one word. And that made me go and spend more and more time into games, into seeking validation for like game stats or just boredom or I don't even know. Like I can't even recite the past years because now it seems like just like a it just time went just like that. And just like university life, I'm a fucking junior now. But in some ways time has been slow, but other times have been really fucking fast. I wish I had planned out what I've been doing. And now in 2 years, I gotta get a fucking job. I gotta find a fucking place to be at. You know how, like, scary and uncertain that can be. But no, let's just play games. Let's just pretend I'll be successful and pretend that everything will be okay. And then by the time university came around, all of my problems are amplified tenfold. And I think the worst of it now is realizing these faults, and I've been making progress for myself. And times where, I feel like I've gotten to grow as a person, but it's very hard. It's hard. During like freshman year, I was down. That's what I mostly remember. And so I picked up drumming. I journaled. I took medication. I did counseling. And then, it was still tough. Like, I had friends originally. And then, one way or another, I'm not sure. I got sick. And then I just stopped hanging out. And then I drifted away. Sometimes that's a part of life. I understand that. But not all people are given multiple opportunities. And so, it sucked because I never had another chance. And if I did now, I'd probably blow it. And that's not true. You could say that. But if the answers I already told myself in my head and conceptualize the repeating patterns, that in theory, that it probably would be. I don't even know what I did sophomore year. And it could be that I'm I'm a mess right now. But sophomore year, I then picked up singing for a semester. It was by far the most scariest thing I've ever done, I feel like. Like, it was far out of my comfort zone. But I saw that it was an opportunity to do something I've always wanted to do because I'm insecure. I can lie to myself and say I'm not, but I am. And so I had this instructor teach me, and I loved it. I got to practice, and then at the end of the semester, it was like a winter recital. I'm not sure if that's the right word for it, but yeah, it was like 50 people or so just in the audience. She said that you could sing she gave me 3 songs. She said you can do like 1 song. I wanted to challenge myself and do 2. And at the time, this is another fucking thing I hate about myself, but I can't memorize. Memorizing is just so difficult for me. It takes so much more effort than I feel like most people would require. And so I had 2 songs to sing, and sometimes I would get it, and other times I would forget. My mind would just blank. I feel like it's a common fucking recurrence. It's not just like memory. Like piano sheet music, I can just read it. I know if it's a C note, or like if it's a specific note, but I constantly second guess myself. If it's even basic math, I don't know what happened, but like I feel like a sudden switch happened when I got older, where I second guessed myself on everything, or not everything, but a lot of things. Anyways, getting to the point of it, it was like showtime. I had to sing in front of a bunch of people, and when I was waiting for my turn, I was around a bunch of people like a part of like the singing program that have years of experience or just much more just beautiful voices, and it was the ultimate just I guess like comparing myself to others, imposter syndrome. I felt, and to this day I still want to like improve like my singing abilities. But anyways, I keep getting sidetracked. I'm sorry. Eventually, I get to sing. I don't know what happened, but I guess fight or flight took over. I was literally thinking about like when I was waiting. You know, like how those people like before riding a roller coaster, they want to like get off because you're too scared. It was literally that. I'm like, I mentally in my head, I'm like, I can't fucking do this. I can't be sitting down waiting for my turn, waiting to get like waiting around a doctor's appointment to get my needle shot because I'm just so nervous. I'm gonna fail in front of a bunch of people, and I'm gonna. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but one way or another, I managed to pull through. The first song went fine. I knew I was gonna do fine on it for the most part, and then the second song came up, and it was over. And I remember just I couldn't even look at the audience. Like I was just like looking up in the ceiling. Once I finished and sat down, I cried. I was in so much stress, and once it was over, it was over. Moments like that show me now, even when I can't look back, there are moments of like stuff that I should be proud of myself, or like when I push myself out of my limits or like my comfort zone, right? But because I choose to treat myself of how I God, I'm gonna start crying again. Fuck. Like how can I say I hate myself with a straight face and smile about that? Because it's horrible. I don't want to hate myself. I want to love myself. Even people that are considered stupid, like intelligently, because I am stupid, can learn to love themselves and find ways around it. I have ADHD, so many other things. Like, I have a really good older brother to me, right? And then I just feel like, I don't know, all these labels for myself. I'm stupid, I'm spoiled, take things for granted. It just comes out to be like, who the fuck am I? I don't even know who I am anymore. And now I'm a junior, and when I was kind of getting out of like high school gaming, like out of PC gaming, I was introduced to dance games, and they changed my life. They saved my life. I found meaning. I found friends. I found enjoyment for video games and fitness. It's the perfect combination of joy. I started them back in my senior year, and then growing out of it, I got to meet wonderful people. I got to develop a community that I'm happy with. And then my sophomore year, during the summertime, I was accepted for a scholarship abroad. It was entirely provided to learn Korean. And that was truly, it was a time where I felt happy. Happy for a prolonged period of my life. And I miss being happy. I can be happy for a moment, but then it just turns sad. Or it going abroad made me realize, wow, I never realized how it felt like to not have these thoughts in my head, to constantly fight with myself, and to just feel stable as a person. And I'm not saying during my entire time for university I wasn't completely unstable, because there were times where I was happy, and there would be, times of, depressive episodes. But this has just been ongoing, and it's very painful. And you know what the worst thing is? When I was abroad, I was confident. I spent time with people. I spent both times meeting new people, pushing myself out of my comfort zone, and doing things. I learned to become self-reliant on myself when I was abroad. I got to travel a good amount, and I got to make a lot of mistakes along the way. And you know what? Even when I made those mistakes, I learned to forgive myself. And there would be a lot of mistakes along the way. But yet, I hugged myself mentally. I was hugging myself. And I felt like for once, I was finally, I was making progress. Not with, the language itself, because, again, I wasn't taking any medication at the time. And I don't want to just say medication this, medication that. And some people are a lot more studious and they knew how to lock in. And I tried my best to like lock in and stuff like that. And I got to like improve a little bit. I definitely feel like I could have improved so much more, but oh my god, my mind's going blank. I feel like, and I continued playing dance games there, and I by far reached my most physical peak and my accomplishments when I was abroad. Coming back to the States made me just miss it all so much. There was so much to look forward to, and I know it was because I was there for a short period of time. If I lived longer, I'm sure the signs of like other things of discontent would have shown potentially. But I fucking hate it here. Like not in college. I mean just my situation as a whole. There was hope, there was optimism, there was life. It felt like there was everything when I was there. I feel like I have completely backtracked to like square zero. Not even square one, square zero. And it has been so hard for me to accept. For myself, all of that self-empathy for myself or counseling, the development I've developed or like progressed, I have lost it all. And this, like, even in university life, yeah, I did have a lot of friends. I still had like a social group, and I still tagged with you, thankfully. But the things that really kept me stable and what was part of my identity was dance games. I'm at the point in my life where dance games do not bring me joy. That is so painful for me to accept. The only reason I feel like I am a part of like these communities or making like things related for it is because of my influence or things in my community or things like that. But what does that even mean for myself? Like back when I started, it was like a local arcade. We would be hanging out. It would feel genuine. Nowadays, I hang out with people in the state where I hang out. I can feel it. I can fucking feel it, dude. I'm not friends with these people. We are acquaintances. People have friends. They have their small little bubbles here in the States or in these like kind of groups. I don't have any of that. And it's just made me, I don't know, I guess as the more like the isolation just becomes more and more apparent, it's like, holy fuck, I really have no one. I have nothing. The people I thought I had, no, I'm fucking lying to myself. These are not true friends. These are mutuals or just friends out of interest. How many of these people would I actually like continue to be related with if it wasn't for my status, my role because of these dance games? And the answer is probably few. Very, very few. Look, not everything with this video is related to high school. I understand that. A lot of this is personal now and then reflecting back. But if there's anything I want you to take away is be mindful of your time because you're never gonna get it back. And when you grow up in high school, make sure to talk to yourself. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking back in high school, but I feel so behind cognitively developing. I'm not sure if there's truly like there's a lot of takeaways from this, but I think that's one of them, I think. So